Hi viewers, this is Fatma Suhail and you're watching InvoNews podcast. And today we have David Kleeman, who is Chief Technology Officer of Macro Technologies. Welcome, David, to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Okay. Okay. David is quite an intelligent guy. He has graduated from McGill University. David has experience of software development and has built scalable SaaS platforms and systems. He has also built chat-based on-demand delivery service called Wizard. Yeah.
Yeah.
David, you are quite an intelligent guy. IT people are
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I think it's a pretty common trait for technical people to be more quiet.
yeah.
So, I'll try my best to be as outgoing as possible in this podcast so that keep it interesting for your listeners.
Yeah, sure, you will. Okay, so to set the stage over here, my first question is, um, why is fintech important for businesses and economies all around the globe?
Sure. So I think in general, we can ask the question, why is technology important for any business? So usually, at least when you're talking about B2B, uh, technology really allows people to either save time or save money by solving a problem that they have. So in finance, that's super important because basically the way that financial firms operate is that they can kind of directly measure how well they're doing based on how much money they're making, because that's exactly what their business goal is. So it's really easy for them to see the value of financial technology. So if you can either cut down the time that it takes them to do certain processes, cut out full processes entirely, or just you know make something that was previously a manual endeavor, or keeping track of something, so risks as well, reducing their risks. So if they had if there is some compliance aspect that they needed to keep track of, then giving them technology to allow them to keep track of that so that that's no longer a risk is huge for them. So it's not just about optimizing their time and money, but also reducing their downside risk.
Yeah, sure. So fintech has quite grown after pandemic, right? Or
Yeah.
it, yeah. So to narrow down our conversation further, um, what's been the most disruptive innovation in fintech in the latest, I say, 10 years?
Yeah. So, I mean, there have been some studies about this. So it seems like the emergence of digital banks, so things like
Yeah.
Tangerine, where they have no physical locations, that's huge.
Mhm.
Cryptocurrencies and blockchain in general, as well as cloud-based infrastructure. So like before the pandemic and actually up until pretty recently, everything was on-prem. So all financial institutions and wealth managers, if they had technology, they had it deployed to their local servers, or they had uh, kind of desktop software. And that's really inefficient, actually, because if they get new computers, they need to install it again. If they need to upgrade, it's a huge project. So cloud-based
Mhm.
infrastructure has been really, really big. So that's kind of where we fit in, that we're offering them a cloud-based platform to do their existing work. So it's a little bit more efficient for them because they get all their upgrades as it keeps going. So that's a huge thing.
Good to know. That's good to know. David, I generally come across the term regtech a lot in my experience in 3 to 4 months. Regtech here, regtech there. And I was reading stats about regtech that in 2026, the regtech is going to reach to 33.1 billion. So, for our audience, can you explain what is regtech and what is its specific use in fintech? Is it necessary for every fintech startup business? Um,
Yeah. So I think RegTech is anything that allows that's technology that allows people to uh, be compliant with regulations and their own compliance procedures. Um, so I think it's kind of inseparable from fintech because anything that you do in fintech, you know, like you're speeding up existing processes. So let's say your Stripe, you're processing payments, you can't do that without having fraud detection, you know. So it's really two sides to the same coin. You can't have one without the other. So you're not really going to be able to stand a chance if you're allowing people to use without allowing them to be regulatorily compliant or compliant with their own internal controls.
Yeah, regulations, especially in terms of data processing like GDPR, CCPA, these things are really mattering a lot in this world, especially after the generation of a lot amount of data all around the world. Uh, let's come towards wealth management, what Marco is doing, I believe. Personalization is wealth management has become quite common. So, tell me, David, how do wealth managers can leverage technology today to achieve any level of personalization?
Yeah. So there's a bit of a, well, not a debate, but you know, like a lot of people are looking towards AI and ML for enhancing personalization. I think that AI and ML are great technologies, but in general, they have a problem, which is a cold start problem. So
Hmm.
it's really, really hard to get started with AI and ML because it requires so much data to have effective insights. So if you're a small wealth manager, it's really hard to leverage that data on a small group of clients, or if you're a small firm that manages a lot of money, but you're only doing it for high net worth individuals and you actually have very few clients, then using AI and ML is probably not the way to go because you don't have a ton of data to be able to deliver your insights. Um, so what we focus on is really customizing uh, the user experience to align with a wealth manager's process in
Hmm.
general. So that allows them to kind of have a more hands-on personalized experience where they can still do their existing process of, you know, speaking to the client, getting them comfortable, but also, you know, still being compliant and allowing them to manage their data in a way that, you know, if they do ever grow to the point where they have enough data, they can leverage those AI and ML tools.
Hmm, that's nice to know. Um, let's come towards new technology from wealth management. Again, fintech. Recently, I see there's a lot of hype of NFT, blockchain, crypto. Um, how has it changed the wealth management?
Yeah. So we haven't seen so much of the technology itself in wealth management. So we've come across some businesses and people that we've spoken to at conferences that are trying to leverage blockchain to do stuff like KYC. We haven't seen that being totally effective yet. It might become effective in the future. But in general, cryptocurrencies are becoming kind of more prominent in general, and individuals. So uh, you know, like younger demographics are kind of looking to, you know, get a little bit of exposure to crypto. So that's
Hmm.
driving some demand on the wealth management side. So we are seeing some funds that specialize in investing in crypto pop up. So that's a really interesting new innovation that's going on. So it's really about these broker dealers that want to keep up with the Joneses. So they're trying to make it so that all these young people that want to invest in crypto feel like their firm is able to deliver what they're looking for.
Hmm. Yeah. Actually, you're right. There are a lot amount of young people. I see Gen Zs um, for NFTs. They are quite interested in blockchain NFTs, and there is drastically there is a climate concern linked with blockchain too. So in that aspect, I wanted to ask that how is ESG revolution shaping the wealth management as a whole? Is wealth management industry caring about the climate aspects, health tech and other industries are right now doing it?
Yeah, I think that that's definitely kind of becoming a growing sector. So we actually did a project with a group that was trying to kind of match investors to their ESG
Hmm.
goals. So there's a whole set of 18, I think, goals that you can focus on and that you should be reporting on. I think then in general, the investment thesis makes sense. So uh, this is obviously not financial advice. I'm not a wealth manager, but I think that what they're looking at is that companies that have these ESG goals, so a company that wants to treat its employees well and do good for the world in general has more engaged
Hmm.
employees, and those employees are going to deliver better. And so that's a good company to invest in, and they have less downside risks because they probably won't have cases where employees have angry or become disgruntled and do something bad for the business and things like that. So getting people to kind of row together towards a common goal is really important, and I think that that investment thesis makes sense. Um, in general, one of the things that they're struggling with the wealth managers that are trying to invest in ESG is just reporting these goals and trying to get the goals comparable, because it's really hard to say um, you know 1 ton of carbon is equal to this many people saved from hunger. So it's
Hmm.
if you value a lot of different things, it's difficult to put them on a level playing field and decide what matters the most. So I think that we'll probably see a lot of innovation in actually the reporting structure and figuring out how to normalize and get everything to be reporting in kind of a normalized and unified metric.
Yeah, yeah. So you cannot quantify the climate aspects right now, right? In a
Well,
way.
so there are a few things. So uh, you can measure like tons of CO2 removed from the atmosphere. So that's good for existing businesses. But if you're, let's say, a venture fund that's investing in startups that haven't really gone to market yet, then how are you going to know what they're able to
Mm,
deliver? So
mm,
you need to look at like the potential future impact of their business. So I've had some ideas about this, and like it's kind of interesting. So in finance, you measure future profits in a discounted way. So you do discounted cash flows to see what a company's worth today. So you could kind of do something similar, I guess, to measure what a company's future environmental impact will be if you look at what you expect their environmental impact to be in the future, and then you kind of discount that for some probability that they won't succeed. But ESG is not just about environmental issues; it's also about social issues. So what I was saying before was that it's difficult to measure, social issues compared to environmental issues. So if you have an ESG goal of reducing poverty, then it's really hard to compare that to an ESG goal of reducing carbon.
mm.
So that's one challenge that wealth managers are facing.
Yeah, we have challenges. I think overall in every industry related to technology, we have challenges in terms of climate change. So I hope we solve them. Let's come towards Marco. For our listeners, can you explain how does Marco work and what does Marco do?
Yeah. So we basically have a low code framework that allows us to do custom automation solution development. So we're able to reduce administrative burdens for wealth managers with different profiles. And we have a dedicated team of solutions engineers that can kind of work on these projects to customize a digital process for a wealth manager, and really provide a white glove solution. So we help people in general with onboarding. That's our main use case. So in terms of digital onboarding, that's like for a PM or an IB maybe. So PM is a portfolio manager, IB is introducing broker. But for them, they need to open accounts. So they have account opening forms, they have KYCs, they have IPSs, and there's a lot of forms and a lot of data that gets entered in those forms. So what we do is we build a custom solution for collecting that data from the clients. We build in their compliance procedures. So we make sure that it goes to the right people at the right time and that there's the right review steps. And then we're able to deliver that, store that data, and do straight through processing to where it needs to go. So if it's their custodian, we can go open the accounts there directly. And then for kind of funds, we can do subscription agreements. So that's what they focus on in terms of onboarding. So actually getting people to sign the form that says, I'm going to give you this amount of money for this number of units in your fund. And it makes it really, really efficient for them because they're able to do this in bulk, and they're able to get this to go straight through, and they're able to view everything in one place.
That's nice. They can view everything in one place. I think that comes in quite handy, right? Time efficient and at the same time cost effective.
Yeah, exactly. So because we have these kind of this low code framework, we're actually able to offer the type of customization that you would only see at enterprise costs. So there are some larger competitors that, or you could go do this yourself if you hired a development firm to build your custom process for you,
Hmm.
but it'll cost a lot more, and it's something that's in the past only been available to enterprise size clients, whereas we're able to also offer this to smaller firms.
Right. So, talking more about Marco, what kind of technology do you guys use? It's AI, ML, or any other type of data science technology in use? Uh,
Yeah, so we don't generally use any AI or ML. And I say that as a for now type of answer. So we'll probably look at using AI and ML in the future for ways to speed up our own processes rather than speeding up our clients' processes. Really, what we're aiming to do is kind of make sure that they can gather their information in a way that's accessible to them, and be the kind of glue of the financial industry. So they're able to collect that data, get it in one place, and then if they want to, they can integrate with an AI or ML solution. So we're really focused on automation more than
hmm.
anything else. So we're looking to digitize and then remove the unnecessary steps.
um, from this conversation, I just a question popped up in my mind. Um, what's the one you must have contacts with many C-suite people in the industry? What is the one thing that people, especially belonging from the high ranks or have high companies, miss right now in wealth management industry that should be there but it's not?
Yeah, I think in general, they're pretty resistant to change. You know, I work in a startup, so we're always trying to move quickly. And I see that it's a challenge to balance that with a lot of the kind of regulatory requirements. And that's something that we're focused on is actually managing to move quickly while still being compliant. So I think that a lot of C-suite executives, particularly in larger firms, tend to uh, they have like a lot of process for selecting vendors and things like that. So they're very, very resistant to change. And, it's important to be able to be accepting of change so that they can actually improve their business. So yeah, I think in general there are some internal processes that they have that they could actually cut down a lot and improve. so that they could be more streamlined and get innovation in faster. So it's not
Hmm.
just about the innovation itself, it's actually about the speed of innovation. And I think that the speed of innovation is kind of what's lacking for them.
Hmm. That's a pretty good insight. The speed of innovation is lagging right now in them. I hope they catch up. uh, Tell me, what's next for Marco Technologies in 5 years? I say, where do you guys see yourself in 5 years?
5 years is a long time, but I'll do my best. So I think for now we're looking to continue our rapid growth in Canada, and we're
Hmm.
excited about some upcoming announcements that are going to be in less than 5 years. But in the short term, we're doing a KYC refresh project with the OSC, so that's the Ontario Securities Commission. So we're going to be it's their first test lab, and we're one of 7 technology providers. And that
Oh.
should be available in Q4. So that's short term. In the longer term, we're kind of more focused on providing the highest quality product and the most value for our customers as we can.
Hmm.
So probably expanding throughout Canada and then eventually growing to other markets like the US.
That's good to know. Tell me, David, you have been there for Marco since its start, or you just joined when it was established?
Yeah, so I started about a year after it started. So the Mako is almost 4 years old, and
Mm.
I started in August 2019, so I've been here for almost 3 years. So before I started, it was kind of being run as a consulting project by our CEO. So he previously founded uh, actually a ESG based fund called CoPower. So uh, they were working on investing in solar projects, and they kind of struggled because they were doing crowdfunding, and they were dealing with KYC requirements and ID verification requirements and subdocs for people all across Canada, and they obviously couldn't go meet them all in person. So after CoPower was sold, he decided to start Mako to actually work on consulting for delivering these technology solutions that enable that not in person or that remote uh, ability to do a KYC and subscription agreements. So that's kind of how Mako started. And so
Okay.
I was hired about a year after he started there.
Okay. So, do you guys have like a full technology team inside, or you guys hire from outside developers or dedicated team of developers?
Yeah, so we all of our developers are internal. So we have
No. Okay.
our internal team. It's growing fast. We're always hiring. So if anybody hears this who's looking for a job, you can reach out. Um, so yeah, we actually have our own developers, and we have our own, as I mentioned, implementation team. So we've been growing really fast. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to keep track. It's a little bit dizzying, but I
Hmm.
think in January of 2021, we were 6 people maybe. And
Really?
now we're right around 40. Sorry, not 440. Uh, yeah,
Hmm.
so we're really growing very quickly in terms of headcount. So
Ah.
we just need to hire more people to keep up with the demand, and growing the tech team internally is really important to us.
Yeah, it is. Tell me, you said that Marco is a startup. Tell me, is it difficult to? It's kind of a question. Is it difficult to work for a startup because obviously there is no system established like big corporates, or is it difficult or it's fun? You're learning new things. You're moving towards new things.
Yeah. So in terms of my own background, like I started a bunch of companies, so I'm kind of used to the crazy hectic environment of a startup. I also worked at a larger company, so and I've done some kind of enterprise consulting as well on the side. So I've seen a lot of everything. So really, like when I started here, I brought in a lot of the processes that I'd learned from larger companies, and we're really quite good as far as I can tell for a
I'm
startup in
sure.
terms of like having that
Uh,
process in place. Like we have
mm,
a SOC 2. So we have lots and lots of internal controls that we test,
mm,
and we make sure that we're compliant with. Um,
mm,
so so like in terms of not having that system, I don't think that's really true. We do have a lot of systems in place.
mm,
Obviously, it hasn't always been like this. It was a little bit more hectic at the beginning, but we were fewer employees, so it was a little bit easier to keep track of. But with a larger team, you need to have that process in
mm.
place to keep track of everything.
So before we wrap up, David, tell me, is it you established their technology team, Marcos? How for startups who are listening to us, um, how a startup can develop its technology team? What is the one first step they have to take?
I mean,
An
that's
important
a
one.
great question. It's a really hard one to answer. It's something that I think a lot of people are struggling with right now because the market is very, very tight for developers. Um, I think ideally you would make sure that you have, if you're just starting up, you should make sure that you have a technical co-founder or a technical person on the team who has a strong network, because what we've seen is that our strongest hires have been through referrals. So if you're able to hire through people that that's much more effective than trying to just like post a job. In general, at least for senior developers, it's very rare that they'll be applying for jobs. So if you put a job posting on the internet, it's very, very rare that you'll have a senior developer apply for it. And I think that's just because there's very, very low unemployment right now. So they all have jobs. They're not really looking. And it's really, really competitive. So on LinkedIn, they're getting messages all the time from recruiters. So you really have to stand out with a strong vision, strong compensation package, and you have to be basically doing direct outreach or hiring people through referral, because it's a lot easier to sell the vision to people that know you either directly or indirectly,
Hmm.
because they'll obviously believe you a little bit more than if you try to cold reach out to someone.
The vision is all that matters, and the vision is the thing that actually derives your efforts and everything. Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for being with us. Anything you want to say? Shout out
um,
something.
yeah, I guess I think the biggest thing for fintech is really that there's a lot of low hanging fruit right now, and it's not about necessarily jumping to blockchain or AI or ML. I think there's a lot of easier room for innovation when it comes to just taking people's processes and cutting them down, and really being introspective and looking at the things where you're not being efficient and you can just do it better. I think there's a lot of optimization just in there that you don't need to get too crazy with the advancedness of the technology, and you can really just whittle down what you already have to be more efficient.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. We have lot of technologies around us. We just have to select the right one, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, David. Thank you for being with us with InvoNews podcast.